Welcome everyone to the Microsoft 365 Virtual Marathon. Thanks for attending and we hope you're having a great conference so far. I'd like to introduce our next speaker, Durval Prajapati, who will be presenting a practical case study of SPFX, retrieving file count of folders in document libraries with SPFX and PnP. And I'll hand over to him now. Thank you.
Hi Lucy, thank you for the introduction. So, good morning, good evening, guys, from whatever time zone you may be. My name is Dhruval, and today we are going to talk about the practical case study of the SPFX extension. Also, guys, mark your dates for the next year for the Microsoft 365 Collaboration Conference, which will be happening in Las Vegas, USA. Thank you all our sponsors. Without that support, this event haven't been successful. These are our generous sponsors. Also, there is a raffle, and if you visit the vendor booths, watch the session videos, and answer some of the questions, then if you are the lucky, then you can get one of the raffle, as they are giving away 3 Oculus Quest all-in-one as well. As we all know that we are going through this pandemic and everyone's need each other's support. So here the 10% of the funds from the sponsors will be going for the community relief. Also, we are raising funds for the United Way and the International Medical Corps. Here are the links if you want to donate. So let's start with the introduction of myself. My name is Dhruval Prajapati. I'm based in Ahmedabad, India. I'm working with Soho Dragon as a mid-level software developer in Ahmedabad office. I have 3 years of experience with the SharePoint. I have worked with SharePoint 2010 to SharePoint Online, along with all the different kind of solutions like server-side SSOM, client-side CSOM, GSOM, REST APIs, and the SPFX as well. I have also experience working with the migration using ShareGate and other third-party tools. So basically, I love to explore new things, new technologies which comes in the market, and specific to the Microsoft, they are very frequently releasing new things, which is very cool, and I'm very thrilled to learn about this. Here are some of my contact information if you guys want to contact me. Okay, so we will just see what are the things we are going to explore today. Introduction we already completed. Then these are the agenda for the today modern UI. We will talk about what is modern UI and how it is useful to us and why Microsoft released that. We will compare some of the components, some of the overview of the modern UI with the classic UI. We will also discuss some of the real life use case with the classic UI and the modern UI. We will understand, as this is the practical case study, we will understand what is the exact requirement, and then we will go for the development. We will see the overview of the SharePoint framework and the overview of the extension, behavior of different SharePoint extensions, and finally the field customizer, the demo. So modern UI. As we all know that initially Microsoft released the SharePoint, it was having specific, if we consider the team site, it was having a specific UI like box blue theme, some boxes, very classic view, and it is due to that it is known as the classic view. But there were some limitations of that, like it was not mobile friendly. Sometimes it was very slow to load this page, and it was having some of the backlogs, we can say. So to overcome that, Microsoft introduced the modern UI, which comes with the SharePoint 2019 and the SharePoint Online. So it's the latest user experience of Office 365 Business. It offers a seamless, unified, responsive, and best experience to the business. compelling, mobile friendly, and the fast site. So why they are saying it's compelling? Because in the later slides we will see the comparison between these two. Over there we will be able to identify, okay, why they are saying it's compelling. It's mobile friendly. So in the classic sites, to make it mobile friendly, we used to put some CSS. We need to do some coding, write media query and all. But with the modern UI, we don't have to worry about that at all. It's by default mobile friendly. And yes, it's mobile friendly. It's basically everything on the client side. No server side code is allowed. So it's really fast. So we will see some of the points of the what are the enhancements they did in the list and libraries compared to the classic sites. So easier filtering. You can easily filter the data in the list and libraries. Conditional formatting, attention views. You can easily switch the views in the modern UI. And one of the biggest advantage we got that in the classic UI, we were always facing the issue if our list item count has crossed the 5,000. So we are always getting the threshold limit. But with the modern UI, it's removed. Like we can see more than 5,000 items. It's a big relief and more secure. Now, in the classic UI, we were able to easily add any script, any code on the page using either the content editor web part or the script editor web part, which is kind of risky if you are see the security purpose. But with the modern UI, they make it very bound to the site. They made the security very tight, and you cannot just add any kind of script or code on the page. But if you want to add, then you need to use the latest way of doing that. It's not like you can do it using the old ways. Now we will see the comparison with the classic UI. These are the points we are going to cover during the comparisons. We'll just see how the site structure look, homepage and everything, lists and libraries, then ribbon. There is a major change in the ribbon. Actually, SharePoint is also known for the ribbon operations, as we were able to customize the ribbon based on the requirement, content editor web part and the script editor web part. So let's begin with the sites. In the slides, I will show you some of this, just the screenshot, but we will also see the live comparison as well. So this is how the classic SharePoint site looks. If someone is new here who have just started work with Office 365 and don't have any experience with the SharePoint on-premise 2013 or like that. So this is how the classic SharePoint site looks. This is the team site. It is not mobile friendly. If you just open this in the mobile, you will get the vertical and horizontal scrolls. And this is the modern sites. It's already eye-catching. So if we just say this, like if you want to add any kind of things, like here we have this slider and everything, for that you need to do the codes. But with the modern sites, they provided that by default. You just need to configure some of the libraries and boom, you are ready to roll. Document library. So this is the classic document library view. Here we have very few options. Here we have very few options to new upload, even to copy. We need to move to the ribbon. I will show you. And to do any operation, it's like click on the ellipsis, open ECB and go the options to perform. That all kind of things are made very easy in the modern view. This is the document library view of the modern site, and as you can see, in the suite bar, everything is there. So everything is just one click away. Now, item count. This specific requirement screenshot is based on for our demo, like why how it is useful in the requirement, and you will be able to understand that. Okay. So in the classic mode, if we want to show the count of the items, it is rendered above the list items. And if we compare it with the modern, it is rendered below the list items. So basically, in the classic mode, if we want to manipulate it, we can easily edit the page, assign some ID to it from the page layout or from the designer, and we can just easily access it. And using the script editor, we can manipulate the data. But that is not the case with the modern UI, as it is DOM related. It is completely client side, and it's quite dynamic. There is no direct way to get access to that particular DOM element. And here is the classic content editor web part. You can add the web part like this, and over here you can specify any page from where you can load your code or any script. So here is now we will discuss the file count requirement, but before we jump to that, let me just show you the live comparison. Okay, so this is the classic SharePoint site. I will just do it responsive. As you can see, it's not, we are getting the scroll and everything, so it's not good. This is the classic document library. As you can see, very limited options in the suite bar. Also, to do anything, we need to go to ribbon, and there are other options to do so. And also here are the options we get, like it's 2-click away. Yeah, if you check out and everything, it's 3-click away. Now let me just go to the modern site. So this is the modern Office 365 SharePoint site, and it's everything. This comes with by default. You can easily just add the web parts. If I edit it, it allows me to add new web part, and these are some of the out of the box web part it is already providing. You just need to do some configurations, and it's mobile responsive. You can see no code is done for that. It's completely out of the box. Now if we compare the document libraries, you can see first thing, the ribbons are gone. We only have suite bar. Also, all the operations are 1-click away. Everything is there in suite bar. And these are some of the options which you want to do, but it's also a 2nd-click away. So it's quite fast. It's easy for users to navigate, to use, to do work. It's very much fast and feasible. Now, let's just quickly check how the web parts were added in the classic. So here I will do the edit page, and here I have the list of the web parts I can add. I will just go to the media and content and add the content editor web part. So as I just showed you, here is how we can add the content editor web part and do whatever scripts we want to add over here. Okay, so this was regarding the comparison. Now let's discuss about the requirement. What is our actual requirement and how we are going to build that? So the requirement is, in the document library, we want to get the number of items which are there in the in folder, the folder with the name IN. It is the initial for the inbox. Okay. So for example, we will consider this document library for our demo. Okay. So here, if we see, I have one in folder on the root level, and also it can be there in all other subfolders. So if I go to the subfolder A, inside that as well, I have in folder. And if I check, I have 2 documents. Please take a note that the in folder inside the subfolder A has the 2 items. Now I'm coming back. I'm going to the B. It doesn't have any. Again, C, it doesn't have any. D, there is no in folder. And in the in folder, we have the 4 items. So the item count for us is 6 for now. So that item count we need to get. And actually in the earlier, like in the classic view, it was handled by the script editor web part. They were making some REST API calls, and it was just readily it was rendering in the manipulating the item count, which is shown in the last slide. But in the modern sites, we are going to achieve that requirement using the SharePoint extensions. So as we see, we need to get the item counts of the in folder inside a document library, no matter where the folder is. If it's on the 6th level of a folder, like as a child of parent subfolder, then also we need to get that count, and we need to show that count over here in the top or anywhere in the site which is feasible. So for that, we are going to use SharePoint extension and the PNP.js. Now we will move to the SharePoint extension. So we are clear with the requirement. Now we will see SPFX. So SharePoint framework is a page and the web part model that provides the full support for the client-side SharePoint development using the latest client-side tools and technologies. It's basically what we can say, it's a new way to develop the solution with the SharePoint. Earlier, we were used to build the different solution using server-side code or the JavaScripts, using REST API, using CSOM, JSON. But now it's all about SPFX if you are working with the latest SharePoint Online. These are some of the, we can say, advantages or some of the features of the SharePoint framework, that it runs with the current context of the current user, and also what the connection of the browser. One of the advantages is that the controls are rendered in normal page DOM and not in the iframe. So in the classic view, if you load some web parts like video or kind of thing, it was loaded in the iframe. So sometimes it gets some glitchy or the site gets slow, but as it is the SharePoint framework rendering everything directly into the DOM, it's like quite fast. The controls are responsive, as we just already see, no extra coding required for that. It's framework agnostic, and also the tool chain of that is open source client-side dev tools. You can use any kind of available client-side tool. You can integrate them with the SharePoint framework. Also, you can do the work with any JavaScript framework like React, Angular, based on your requirement. Now we will see some of the components, like the SPFX have two main components, web parts and extension. We are going to go with the extension. There are three different type of extension: application customizer, field customizer, and the list view command set. We will see the functional overview of application customizer and list view command set in the upcoming slides, and then we are going to build the field customizer from scratch. Okay. So here is how the application customizer looks. You see the bottom bar in the page, that is our application customizer. And this is the list view command set. If you see the highlighted button in the bar over here, suite bar. If you click, like for now, I have just implemented it in a simple way. If we click, it just gives us the item counts. So here, so now let's just see it on the site directly. Okay. So as our requirement was to get the item count, I just looked for what are the options to achieve that with the SharePoint framework. So as the requirement was to get it very quickly, like it should be eye-catchy. Like from, if I'm in the library, it should be instantly shown to me, okay, I have this many inbox items in my library. Okay, so I thought that, okay, let's implement it with the application customizer, as it comes with two main placeholders, top placeholder and the bottom placeholder. I have used the bottom placeholder over here. You can manipulate the design based on your requirement, and you can do many more stuffs. So as you can see, we already counted that right now there are 6 items in the in folder. 4 are in the root and the 2 are in the subfolder of A. So here you are seeing the item count is 6. So it's fine, it's working. But if I am navigating to any folder, then right in this particular view, I am inside the A folder. So here the item count should be 2. Okay, but it's not. It's still showing the 6. If I refresh the page, then it will show me the item count 2. It means the application customizer is not capturing the folder navigation events. If I just go back to the root folder, it will show me the old value. It is not being updated automatically, and there is no direct way to capture this event. So this is one of the limitation of the current SPFX application customizer extension. On the community GitHub repo, I also posted and also reported the same, and the Microsoft team is working on that. Hopefully we get that resolution in the next release soon. So now with the application customizer, it is working, but not the way we want. So it's not feasible. We ask user to every time refresh the page. So the another approach I came up with using the list view command set. So in the using the list view command set, you can add any action in the suite bar on the context menu or the ECB menus. I just use the context menu. If I click over here, it will give me the correct number 6. Why? Because I am on the root. But still, it is the application customizer is showing the wrong value. I just refresh the page, so the customizer and the inbox values will be the same. It's 6. If I go here, it's still showing the 6 in the customizer, which is wrong. But if I click on the inbox items, it is showing me the correct number 2. But again, now I have to click on a button to get my count, which is again not feasible for my end user. So the next thing I thought is, okay, let's achieve that using the field customizer. So we are going now, we will jump into the development, how the field customizer works and how we can achieve this requirement. Okay. Yes, so let me just jump to the code. I will just create one directory and I will enter the command to generate the solution. So here I just want to show you some of the basic steps which we just need to take care while creating the SPFX solution with the field customizer extension. Okay, so here you can specify the name you want anything. I will just say my extension. Yes, we want to deploy it to SharePoint Online only. Yes, we want to use the current folder. Now, we don't want the solution to immediately deploy all the sites, so I will select with the default options no. Again, we don't require any APIs permission, so we will select no, the default option. Now here we need to make sure that we select the component type as the extension. Under that, again, we need to choose the field customizer. Here, give the name to your extension. Again, I will just give it my extension. Specify any description if you want, otherwise it will be blank. If you have any complex requirement, like you want to do some manipulation with the UI, and for that you require some different components. And if you want to use any JavaScript framework for that, like React and Angular, you can select the framework as well. For our requirement, we are going with no JavaScript framework, as there is no much UI work required. And it will build my solution. So while it is being generated, let's just get it generated. I already have the solution ready. Okay, so once the solution is ready, you can see this is the default folder structure, solution structure it comes with. There are the files in the config. We will see some of the files we require to change. Also, let's go to the code. So under the source folder, we have a folder name extension, and with the I created that using the live name, and under that I have my live field customizer TS file. So this is the default code it comes with. I will just minimize. So these are the three default methods which comes with the field customizer. One is onInit, second is onRenderCell, and third is onDisposeCell. So onInit method is basically used for the prerequisites, we can say. So it's used like in the scenario where before your main logic comes into the picture, you require some of the data pre-filled. So in that kind of scenario, you can put that calls or that code to load the data in the onInit method. Also, this method will run after you get the context. So there is no issue of like how we will get the current context and everything. One of the big thing is that once you return the promise from your onInit method, then and then only your RenderCell method will be called. So if you don't want to do anything in your onInit method, just return the promise. So it will call the onRenderCell method. Now the onRenderCell method is our core. It's the main logic goes here. Whatever changes or the manipulation you want to do with the column or the cell or anywhere in the DOM, it will go here. And the onDisposeCell method, it is used to release the resources if so it will not occupy the memory forever. So for that we can use the onDisposeCell. Now let's start with the code. So before we start moving to the code, we need to do some changes into the library. So to work with the field customizer, we need to add one column into the document library on which we will perform our operations. So I will here add one column named item count. I will just copy it, leave other options as it is with the type of number, and we'll just save it. Okay, so item count is there. Now I will come to the code and I will go to the config folder. Under that there is a 7.json file over here. So this file is basically used for debugging purpose, and from here we can specify which column we need to manipulate and which document library or which page we want to add our extension. So in the field customizers node, there is a property name internal field name. So we will just replace it with our column name. Also, as we are going to do this on this inbox document library, I will just copy the URL of it and replace it with this. Okay, so it's done. Now I will just build the solution. So here I will just show you how the basic field customizer looks. No, sorry, no extra code done till now. Okay, it's taking time. I think it's causing it slow. I will just close this. So sometimes it takes some time to build the solution, as it is the first time I'm building it. I will try to build it again. So it will just build that, and once it is built, we will run the gulp server. So here you will see that the warning, and we will select yes, confirm. So once you select confirm, it will load the extension. Okay, so here it comes. You can see it has the value over here, which is the sample text we are showing over here. That's why it's everywhere in the value. So now with this, we are going to do two functionalities. One is we are going to show the item count over here for the in folder, and once the functionality of rendering the counts in the column is done, we will show the total count below the inbox. Okay, so let's start with rendering the item counts in the column. So this will be our structure. Like if the folder is the in folder, then we will show the number of counts. If it is not the in folder, then we will check if that particular folder has the in folder as a subfolder, then we are going to show the number of counts. Otherwise we will show the hyphen value, and if it is the file also, then also we are going to show the hyphen value. So let's just start with that. So I will go to the code. In my render cell method, I will just clear everything. You can see my gulp service still continued. Okay, so first thing is we need to check whether the current item is a file or the folder. So how we can do that? So over here in the on render cell, we are getting the event method, event property. From that, we can get the different properties of the current item, and using the fs obj type field, we can identify that whether it's a file or folder. If it is the folder, then the value will be 1. If not, it will be the file. So here we are just doing, if it's not file, we are going to render not applicable. Under that, we are creating a method which will just create a node element, HTML element with the hyphen value in it. I will just remove the CSS as we don't require it for now. So if it is a file, then it will go into this else condition and it will add the render not applicable method. I will just comment this one out for now. Okay, so here it is render in count, in which case if the folder is in. So in the first phase, we are just going to cover that, okay, what if there are files and the in folder. So the only values will be updated for these 5 items, last 5 items. Let me just add the render in count method. I will just again remove the slide styles, as I'm going to use it as a, let me just define. Okay. So in the render count, what we are going to do, we are going to call another method which will give us all the items of that particular folder. So I have just added the check-in box. So here in the check-in box, we are passing the parameter, the file ref. Okay. It will be this item server relative URL. In our case, it will be URL of the particular folder from which we want to get all the items. In this case, it will be the value of in folder. And here we are getting using the camel query, we are passing recursive all. It means it will get all the items, and we are passing folder server relative URL. So this is the syntax for the camel query used with the PNP. And as you can see, I have still not added the PNP. That's why I'm getting the error. So the PNP is already installed in this. I will just import it. Okay. So you can see all the errors are gone. So what we are doing in the render account, we are getting all the items using this check-in box folder. And over here, we are looping through all the items. So if it is item.file and if it is from the in folder, so how we can identify that? So we are checking that the index of /in// is there in the item server relative URL. Then it is the file of the in folder, and we are just incrementing the count. And once we have the count, we are rendering it on the column. Let's just see. Okay, so as you can see, these are the files. So hyphen is rendered for there, and this is the in folder. So it has the 4 value, the correct count. For others, still there is no value rendered because they are not the in folder. We have not yet covered that scenario. But if I just go to the inside the A folder, which has the in folder, so here you can see the item count 2. For out, there is no value, and for the files, it's hyphen. So right now it's working as expected. Now let's just go with the second thing is, what if the current folder is not the in folder? Then we are going to check whether the in folder exists in that particular folder as a subfolder or not. Okay, so in this check folder exists, again we are passing the item server relative URL. So the syntax is same. We are going to using folder server relative URL. In the view camel query, we are just getting the folders only of that particular folder, as we require all the subfolders of that root folder. So again, the scope is recursive all, and in the query, fs obj type is equal to 1. This is the same code over here. We are, along with the camel query, we are passing the folder /server relative URL. So this is for if you want to use some of the properties of the folder or the file, you need to mention that in the code, like in this API call. And actually this is the value which we used to mention in the REST calls during the expand feature. So it's similar to that. Over here again, we will just see what is the, if it is the folder, then we will compare it with the name. If it is the in folder, we will just simply render the counts. And if not, we will just show the hyphen. It means the folder doesn't contain the in folder. And if there are no data at all, we will just see the render not applicable. I will just save this. Here we are. Okay. So now for each and every item, we have the values in the item count column. So from here, I can easily say that, okay, in the B and C, there are no values, no files in the in folder, and the D folder doesn't contain the in folder. Okay, if I just go to A, for the out it's 0, it means it doesn't have any in folder. And also it's like very fast. I will just add some documents. So I added 3 documents in the in. If I go to B, I can see the 3. If I just navigate to the root, it is updated. So it's very fast as well. Now, as we completed with this on the column level, now we are going to show the same count, like total of this in over here as a top. First, initially I tried to show the total over here or below this, but I didn't find a way out of the box like way to do the so. So what I did, I just created a HTML element and rendered the total count of this over here. So I will just quickly go through that. So in the on render cell, before my this call of goes, first to do the same, I will be using some of the URL parameters, and let me just create one variable. Okay. So what I am doing, I am creating a variable in my on render cell method, which will be added to the DOM. And to get the total count, I am calling this method this get all inbox count. It's just basically a simple PNP call to the library, which will get all the items count which are there in the in folder, irrespective of the label of the in folder. It will give me all the items, and based on that I will just getting the count and I will render it. But the drawback was that the on render cell method is called for each and every item. So if there are 1,000 items in the list, that method will be called 1,000 times. That's not a good practice. So to avoid that, what we did, that I am getting the URL parameters and I am getting the value of the ID from the query string. So if you remember in the classic mode, when we manipulate with the folder structure in the subfolders, we used to get the server relative URL of that particular folder from the root folder parameter as a query string. That is now replaced with the ID. Once I have that value, here I'm just creating the HTML for the content I just want to show as a count, and it is again setting the values into the context, and I am just rendering over it here. Once I have the parameter value, I am assigning it into a variable, and I mentioned as at the old URL, it will just have it. So once the value is assigned, and in the first time the value will be assigned to the old URL, and now if again it comes, I will again check with the latest value. If they both are same, it means I am in the same folder. So no need to call this method again and again. So we are reducing, like we are eliminating the multiple call to this function with this kind of URL manipulation. So it's rendered. Let me just refresh it over here. So you can see now I have the total count 9. So this is correct, as in the SPFX application customizer it's 9, and in the inbox item as well it's 9. So in this way we achieved the requirement. Now let's just quickly walk through some of the folders and see. So you can see I also put some shimmer to show the loading. As it has the 2, the count is 2. If I go to the out, no count, it means it's 0. If I again come to the inbox, it's 9. So what if I go to the T, as it shows there is no in folder. So this, now we are going to say one of the limitations of the field customizer as well. So if we go here, okay, here we have the files. So it's showing the count 0, but let me just delete everything. If I'm going back and I'm coming again, here you can see the count is still 9. It is not being updated. Why? Because whatever logic we wrote is in the on render cell method, but here there is no items in the folder, so the method is not being called. So again, we came to this solution, came to the conclusion like, okay, we even with the field customizer, we require the folder navigation method in the case if we don't have any data in that particular view. So this was the field customizer with the SPFX, and in this way we can build it. Now let's just quickly see how to deploy that and what are the we need to take care during the deployment. So as we just mentioned that in the slides, like in the during the code, that in the initial stage I added one column manually. So what if I forgot if I have to add it to multiple document libraries and if I made some mistakes? So to avoid that, what we can do, under the SharePoint folder, there is an asset folder under which we can specify one site column. So over here, I can create the site column, name item count, and once this is done, go to the package solution JSON and make sure that your element.xml file is mentioned in the assets folder in the element manifest node. If it is not there, this thing will not be taken care during the deployment. It won't consider it. If it is there, then it will create it. Now I will just build it. So once we install the app on the site, then it will create one site column and it will be easy to just edit using the site columns, and it will work with the all the document libraries under which you have added that site. Okay, gulp bundle ship. Okay. Now we will prepare the solution. So our solution is ready. Now we will see that into the SharePoint under solution folder. I have my SPPTJ. I will just open it and we are going to deploy it into the app catalog. Okay, so you will get these errors sometimes if you are continuously debugging. So I will go to the site contains apps for SharePoint. Okay, so I already have that deployed over here. I already added it, but once you prepare the solution, you will get it under the solution folder structure like this. So let's just go back to the site content and list add an app. Okay. It won't show as I have already installed that as well. So let me just uninstall it. So to uninstall the extension, you need to go to the classic view, as that is we cannot uninstall any extension directly from the. Also make sure that you delete it from all the recycle bins to avoid the loading it from the cache or the older versions. I will go to the site settings, recycle bin, second stage, and delete. So now let's just add. Let's hope now it comes. Yeah. So it is being added. We'll just exit the classic experience as we don't require it now. Okay, so my app is added. Now I will just quickly create one document library to show you how we can edit. So go to the library settings, add from existing site column. So the group we gave is SPFX columns, and here I have the item count. I will just add that. I will again go to the doc. We'll create a folder in A. I will just refresh the page. You can see it is start working. Now let me add the in folder here, and I will just add some of the documents. So in this way it's working. So these are the steps. This is how you can deploy it to the site, and you can also easily add the site column which is required. Now let's get back to the presentation. So these are some of the things. These are some of the things we need to take care while creating SPF field customizer, that create the column using element.xml, update the logic on the onRenderCell cell method, use the camel query of the PNP for retrieving the data, mention the element XML in the package solution, and the limitation we just saw that there should be a single item in the view to make it work. Here are some of the references from where you can get all the details regarding this demo. And that's it. Thank you for joining us, and shoot any questions if you have. Here are the feedback links, feedback for the speaker and the feedback for the event, from which you can give us the feedback.
Looks like we have no questions at this stage, but again, we'll just wait for a moment to see if anyone posts anything.
Yeah, sure. Let's wait for 2 minutes.
Okay, I think we can end the session here. So this mile is taking a break for an hour. Feel free to jump across to mile 1 if you want to learn about the latest innovations in SharePoint, OneDrive, and Office for content collaboration in Microsoft 365.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys. Have a great day and enjoy the rest of the